Guess which two countries just cranked up their trade game to a whole new level? Get ready to dive into a whopping 44.4 billion US dollar deal. In the recent financial year of 2022 to 2023, India and Russia's trade game went off the charts, reaching a jaw-dropping 44.4 billion USD. Out of all the countries India does business with, Russia's climbed the ladder and is now sitting pretty at the 5th spot. They're right behind big players like the US, China, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. In a world where countries often pick sides, India's actions towards Russia are driven by a simple principle: returning a favor to an old ally. Ever wondered how a Cold War showdown almost exploded in the Bay of Bengal? Let's dive into an intense face-off during the 1971 war. While India was crushing Pakistan's forces in what's now Bangladesh, a twist emerged. US President Nixon sent a powerful naval squad, the Task Force 74, right into the heart of the action. While he claimed it was a rescue mission, whispers said he was throwing his weight behind Pakistan. The plot thickened. Rumors spread of India aiming for a total takedown of Pakistan. Nixon, feeling the heat, secretly chatted with China. He asked them to march their troops to India's doorstep, a literal power move. But here's the kicker: Nixon even pondered using nukes if Russia jumped in for India. However, China wasn't in the mood for an epic showdown on Nixon's behalf. Nixon's ships kept hovering around the Bay of Bengal, even when it was clear India wasn't launching an all-out attack on Pakistan. But why? To intimidate India? To show support for an ally? As Pakistan neared defeat, a revelation shook everyone. China wasn't helping the US much. Nixon, in a last-ditch effort, tried to warn Russia off. But plot twist, India caught wind of US plans and called in for their Russian buddies. Imagine this: Russian ships staring down the USS Enterprise, a massive US carrier, in a maritime standoff. This drama left a lasting scar. India saw the US as the meddling, ugly American, reminding them of colonial days. Talk about a historical showdown. Now, let's dive into the history of India and Russia's friendship. Ever heard of a bromance spanning decades, wars, and revolutions? Buckle up, because we're diving deep into India and the Soviet Union's legendary alliance. Picture this: it's April 3, 1947, and India is about to taste freedom. Amidst global chaos, India and the massive Soviet Union shook hands, promising an enduring friendship. When the Cold War drama unfolded and the Kashmir conflict raged in 1965, guess who played peacekeeper? Yep, the Soviet Union, ensuring that India and Pakistan cooled their jets. Speaking of jets, India got a shiny new toy, the iconic MiG-21 fighter jet, thanks to some Soviet tech magic. And that's not all. The two teamed up for jaw-dropping defense projects like the BrahMos missile and Kamov helicopters. Oh, and when the US and China were busy arming Pakistan, India switched teams, choosing Soviet weapons over British ones. The bond wasn't just for show. When the 1971 crisis hit, the Soviets had India's back on the world stage. Their alliance was sealed with fancy treaties and mutual backup, even during the Soviets' Afghan misadventures. But plot twist, the 90s saw the Soviet Union become Russia, and India embraced globalization. The US strutted as the new big player, but India and Russia still tight. Despite challenges, they renewed their vows with the 1993 treaty, and fast forward to Putin's era in 2000, these besties refreshed their bond, branding it as a special and privileged strategic partnership. If geopolitical friendships had Hollywood stars, these two nations would have one on the Walk of Fame. Alright folks, buckle up, we've taken a trip down memory lane, but now we're about to dive into the future. Dive in with me as we unpack the latest geopolitical global narratives, and let's break down those headlines together. Narrative 1. The friendship with Russia is more alive than ever. West cannot be trusted. In the world of geopolitics, India is in a hot seat. After an accusation from Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau linked the Indian government to a major crime, many Indians started rethinking their ties with the West. Enter Russia, India's old-time buddy, ready to strengthen their bond. Despite the whole world pressuring India to join the anti-Russia camp over the Ukraine conflict, India danced to its own tune. Instead of turning away, India boosted its oil imports from Russia, pushing their trade growth by a mind-boggling 384%. It wasn't just about buying and selling, it was India's silent statement: "We've got Russia's back." And guess what? Even when everyone pointed fingers at Russia over Ukraine, India chose to keep mum, making a strong point without saying a word. Narrative 2. Pivoting towards American ties. Are India and the US becoming best friends forever? There's a new dynamic duo in town, and the the stakes couldn't be higher. Let's dive in. With Russia and China getting cozy, India's taking a fresh look at its friendships. As it goes, India is making moves closer to the US, and it's not just about handshakes and photo ops. Why the sudden bromance? Well, India's seen the growing love fest between Russia and China and is like, time to rethink my circle. Plus, let's be real, the West knows that India is the answer to some of the challenges from China, so cue the global chit-chat. An epic highlight? Indian Prime Minister Modi chilling with the US President Biden and some other big shots at the Quad Leaders Summit. For those not in the know, the Quad's like the Avengers of the Indo-Pacific, coming together to keep things in check. Numbers don't lie. Trade between India and the US hit a whopping $128.55 billion, with both exports and imports seeing a boost. Basically, these two countries are vibing, and it's all about mutual growth and some shared dreams. So, the billion-dollar question, why is India a big deal for the US? Simple. The Indo-Pacific is the golden goose of global growth. We're talking major military powers, job opportunities, and, drumroll, India, the world's fastest-growing economy and major consumer market. India and the US are now locking arms, taking on everything from space to cyberspace. They're not just partners, they're driving the whole Indo-Pacific region forward. India and the US, the newest power pair, or just a summer fling? Narrative 3. Balanced multipolarity. Ever heard of playing both sides in the game of international politics? Well, India's the master at it, and there's a whirlwind of global drama that you need to catch up on. Probably India seeks to leverage American power to build its own national strength in order to be a multipolar player. But the US knows that, so now the cards are in hand. India must alone decide how to play in order to win the game. India's being a pro at staying friends with countries even when their interests clash. Case in point, keeping ties strong with Iran even when the West isn't a fan. And even though they've shaken hands with Russia on some heavy-duty missile deals, they're smooth enough to dodge potential issues with the US. Back in the day, India was all about Soviet gear, but fast forward to today, and with Russia and China getting all buddy-buddy, India's rethinking their friend list. Cutting down on Russian weapons from 80% to just 55%? Yep, that's India, always keeping their options open. But here's where the plot thickens. The US is eyeing India big time. Why? It's simple math. Take India's massive 1.4 billion population, mix in their role in checking China's ambitions, and sprinkle in their tech and diplomatic prowess, and you've got a winning recipe. Even though the US sees India as this golden ticket in the global game, things aren't all rosy. We're talking about human rights concerns, political freedom, and let's not forget about that whole Russia-Ukraine situation. But India, they're no pushovers. They want to stand tall with the big guns, reshaping how the world plays diplomacy. As for the US pressuring India, well, the US might want to tread carefully. Push too hard and India might just cozy up to Russia. So, what's on the horizon? From the heart of Asia, India is making moves that could shake up alliances from the neighborhood to the whole wide world. With a toolkit of rich history and next-level diplomacy, they're not just playing the game, they might be setting the rules. And a little food for thought. Our own version of the quote from the legendary Henry Kissinger. Being the US's enemy, risky business. But being its friend, that can even be trickier.